So it is hard to believe that it is 1 month since we've had little Everett here. And so I thought it was about time for me to do a birth story now that I'm feeling better and things are kind of getting back to normal. And you might see me in a lot of videos wearing him because it seems to be the only way that he's content right now. And so hopefully I can do a tutorial on the MOBY Wrap too, which is what I'm wearing. I'll leave a link below in case you're interested in the wrap itself. But anyhow, so little Everett here, he is sleeping. And he is officially 4 weeks old. He's actually almost 5 weeks old. So we officially have a 1 month old in our house, and it is quite interesting to say the least. It has been a really fun experience. It has been everything we imagined and everything we had not imagined. And we are really enjoying him. He is such a blessing. Junior is such a good big brother. I know a lot of you have asked me about Junior and how he's handling it, and he's handling it like a pro. He's a really great big help. He's just amazing. So anyhow, this video, I'm going to talk to you about his birth story, which is pretty quick. It's nothing dramatic. And then I'm going to kind of tell you what's been going on afterwards, because I've been pretty absent from YouTube and social media, and there's a good reason why. Obviously, we have a baby, but there's a few other things as well. So let's get started. So I was 39 weeks and 4 days, I believe, and I was ready, obviously, to get this baby out. But I also know that it's really important to try to go to your gestational age, which is 40 weeks. And so I didn't want to rush it. I wasn't doing anything to try and make him come out early. I was just relaxing and taking it easy because I knew he'd be here eventually. You know, you're not pregnant forever, contrary to what you feel like when you are pregnant. When you're pregnant, you feel like you're never gonna have a baby. It's just the way it is. So it was on a Monday, June 24th, and I had said to my husband that morning, it would be a really great day to have a baby. He's like, yeah, but don't have him until I get home, because normally he's working an hour or more away. And so later that day, I knew we were gonna get storms coming through, and I had said to one of my closest friends, I said, wouldn't it be great if I was like a cow and when the storm comes through, the barometric pressure drops and I have this baby? And that is actually exactly what happened. So that afternoon I had taken a nap. I was home by myself. Mark and Junior actually went to work with Mark that day, and I had just taken a nap and woken up, and I had sat down in my chair, and I had some Marco Polos and text messages and emails and stuff that I was getting back to. And I started feeling these weird cramps. Now, something you need to know about this pregnancy is that I had pre-labor basically the whole time. I had Braxton Hicks starting at 20 weeks, and throughout my entire labor, I had contractions. Or not throughout my throughout my entire pregnancy, I had contractions. And the further into my pregnancy that I got, the worse the contractions got. And so I knew that they were working contractions and that I probably was dilating pretty early on, but it was perfectly fine. But the issue is that I had had false labor so many times that now I wasn't quite sure when real labor was happening. And I was afraid that that would happen. So I was sitting in my chair and I felt some cramps and thought, okay, this is different. This wasn't the same as my other false labors had been, but it could still be false labor. And I only have one labor and delivery to compare this to. And so that is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the full stomach contraction because that's what I had with Junior. And this was not that. These were cramps in between my hips, and they were almost like, they weren't contraction pain. They were more like pain, which was interesting to me. It's more like shooting pain. And so I waited a little while and realized that they were coming consistently. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna time these. Even though I don't think they're contractions, I'm gonna time them. So I started timing them, and they were about 3 to 4 minutes apart, which was, you know, go time basically. And but they were only lasting 30 seconds. And so I thought, well, these are not real labor. You know, these are just fake. So that my labor technically started out around 4:30. Around 4:45, this had been 15 minutes now or so, I was talking to my sister on video messenger, and she, you know, I was at the window swaying like this. And she's like, why are you swaying? And I'm like, I'm just uncomfortable. She's like, that's what you do when you're in labor. And I was like, no, I'm not going to waste anybody's time. And yeah, no. Well, they got worse, but they were still only 30 seconds long. And so I told her, listen, I'm going to go take a shower. If I can get through the shower and they slow down or they stop or they feel better at least, then I know that it's false labor. If I get in the shower and they get worse, then it's obviously real labor. I still didn't believe my body was in labor. And she's like, you're in labor, you just need to go. Because the birth center that we use is 45 minutes away. And my husband's worst fear, everyone's worst fear, is that I would have a baby in a car. And I was like, no, I'm just not going to waste their time. So I got in the shower, and by the time I got in the shower, I was moaning. I was moaning through the contractions, and I knew then, okay, this is probably the real thing. Well, I had talked to my husband a couple of different times, and I hadn't told him yet. And he called me right before I got in the shower, and I told him, I said, I don't know if this is real or not, but you should probably hurry up and get home. He was actually on his way home already, which was a huge blessing that this didn't start until he was on his way home, because he was an hour away. And, but you know, before I went into labor, so he had actually started on his way home before. And so I got out of the shower and I got dressed and I blow dried my hair because I at least wanted to look presentable. And I just stood in the bedroom and swayed and swayed and swayed. So around 5 or a little after, I called the midwife and I told her what was happening. And she said, well, they need to be at least 1 minute long. She said, but you are 45 minutes away, so you know your body better than anyone else. She said, if you have an instinctual feeling that you need to come now, then come now. She's like, but if you want to wait a little while longer until they're 1 minute long and 3 to 5 minutes apart, then you can do that as well. They were already 3 to 4 minutes apart. Some of them were even 2 minutes apart. But I wanted to wait until they were 1 minute long. But I kept thinking in my head, not all women have contractions that are 1 minute long. They just don't. So it was probably around 7, and we decided it was time to go. And I was like, all right, let's go. So we took Junior to my mother-in-law's, who lives right up the road from us, and he stayed with her. And we started, and I still didn't believe that I was in labor. I mean, I still just didn't believe it because I'd been in false labor so many times. It wasn't until we started hitting all the potholes in the back roads that I realized, ouch, this hurts, and I'm definitely in labor. And so I had told Mark when we first started, I said, you don't have to go so fast. You know, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm feeling like I've got a while. And he's like, okay. And then about halfway there, I was like, you've got to go faster. Gotta go faster. It's getting faster. And he's like, well, I can only go so fast. He's like, I can't speed, right? So he didn't go much faster, but we did make it. And when we got there, the midwives had the birth tub ready because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a water birth or not. I had gotten into the pool at the recommendation of one of the student midwives. She's like, oh, get in a pool, it's awesome, it'll help relieve pressure. And I hated it. It was painful for me. And so when I walked in and I saw the birth tub filled up, because she said she would have it ready for me just in case, I just looked at her and she kind of just laughed. She's like, I know, it was a horrible pool experience, but I think this will be better. And so it's a huge pool that you literally submerge your whole, it's like this tall. I mean, it's like chest level tall. And so you're able to submerge your whole body in it, and it does have a seat in it if you want to sit on the seat. And so we got there and she asked me if I wanted to be checked. I mean, they typically don't check you, but I did want to be checked because I knew if I knew how far along I had progressed, it kind of was a starting point for me to know. So with Junior, I was 6 centimeters dilated when I got to the hospital, and I labored for about 4 hours after that. So when I got to the birth center, I was also 6 centimeters dilated. And so I thought in my head, okay, I'm gonna have 4 hours or so at least after this to labor. And she's like, well, why don't you get in the tub and see if that helps? And so I had every intention of laboring in the tub. I didn't really know if I wanted to birth in the tub. I don't know why, but it was just weird, some weird thing I thought. And so I thought, okay, well, I've got some time. I might as well get in and enjoy it, right? So I got in, and she told me, she said, well, when you get in, your labor might slow down for about 20 minutes, and it'll pick back up again. That is not what happened. When I got in, my labor really amped up, and it was funny because the contractions were still just in between my hips. I never, ever, ever had the full belly contractions like I did with Junior. And it was probably a blessing because they were easier to work through. Having them just in between my hips, they were painful. I mean, they were painful, but it was more like a pressure pain than a piercing kind of pain. And so what really, really helped was being in the tub in between contractions. My whole body was able to completely be at rest because of the warm water, and I feel like that probably contributed to a quick delivery and labor, because I was able to just completely relax, submerge my body in warm water, and get ready for the next contraction. And so that was around a little after 8 o'clock that we got there and in the tub, and things started progressing really quickly. And the midwives were amazing. They left us alone for the first few minutes while we were there, and my husband was just a texting machine. Everybody's texting him, asking him what's going on, and he was trying to keep up. Poor thing, his little fingers were just going so fast. And you know, I had thought that this labor, I really wanted him to be more hands-on and involved, but everything happened so quickly that he couldn't have been involved even if he wanted to be. So about, let's see, that happened at 8. So about 30 minutes later, the midwives came back in, and she had told me, she's like, I think you're in transition. I'm like, what? I just got in here, you know? And transition is the time when you go from 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters. And it happens pretty quickly for most women. And with Junior, I threw up the whole time during transition. And so I was waiting for that. I was waiting to feel sick. And I never did. And so I didn't think I was in transition. And I did. I went from 7 to 10 in a heartbeat. And all of a sudden I started feeling my body wanting to push. It was kind of sporadic. It wasn't consistent. And I didn't feel that with Junior either. At the hospital, they check you multiple times. And when you reach 10 centimeters, then you push, whether you feel like you got to push or not. And then about halfway through, they tell you to stop pushing, whether you got to push or not. But at the birth center, they never checked me again to see if I was at 10 centimeters. But all I knew is that my body was pushing. Again, it was kind of random. And so I told her that, and she's like, okay, well, you know, you let us know when it really consistently starts happening. And so within 5 minutes, my body started pushing. I didn't push. I did not push more than a few times, and that was at the end, and I'll tell you why in a second. My body was pushing. And that is how your labor is supposed to go. I don't know how long I had been 10 centimeters dilated, but my body was pushing this baby out. And it was dramatic. Not traumatic, but dramatic, because with Junior, I labored really quietly. It was a very quiet birth. With Everett, I was very, very vocal. And I kept saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so loud. And they would just laugh, you know, like, what? But I just wasn't expecting to be as vocal. And it was because my body had just taken complete and total control of this delivery. And so I started pushing, you know, my body was pushing over and over and over and over. And it was just insane. It was such an incredible, empowering experience to experience what the human body was created to do, to feel all of that. And I want to tell you, it doesn't hurt in the sense of pain, like, oh, I cut my finger off kind of pain. You know, I can't do that. But it's just a different kind of pain, and it's hard for me to explain unless someone has ever experienced a natural labor before. So I was officially delivering in the birth tub, right? And it didn't really matter, though, because there's no way I could have gotten to the bed anyhow. And I actually was enjoying the birth tub experience. So we started pushing. My body was pushing. It was happening really quickly. I could definitely feel them coming out since I didn't have an epidural or anything. But again, even that didn't hurt. It was just mostly pressure. And then things just kind of stopped. And I'm like, why is he taking so long to come out? I knew his head was out, but it's like he just wasn't coming out. And so come to find out, his shoulders were stuck. And that's actually what happened with Junior as well. His shoulders were stuck, and the midwives were very, very calm. They were just amazing, and trying to gently maneuver his shoulders to come out. And they were able to do it within minutes. And he was actually born in caul, which means he was born in his amniotic sac. And it wasn't until she kind of pulled his shoulders out that the sac burst. So he was technically born in call, which was pretty amazing. I wish we would have gotten a picture or video of it, but everything just happened so incredibly fast that there was just no way that we could have taken pictures and videos and everything else. And so after his shoulders were released, he came out quick, and they put him on my chest, and he was blue, I imagine from being stuck for so long, but his eyes were open, and he started crying right away, and his color started coming in perfectly, and he looked really healthy and amazing. And so they started immediately draining the water out because he had actually excreted bowel, you know, when he came out. And they got me out of the tub. I was holding him, and everything was still attached. The umbilical cord was still attached and everything. Holding him, got out of the tub and onto the bed. And at the birth center, they wait until your umbilical cord stops pulsating. So until the heart, you know, the beat stops. And that took a little while, which was perfectly fine. It can take anywhere from just a couple of minutes to several minutes, you know, 15 to 20 minutes. And during that time, we were able to get him dry and get me situated with a new shirt. And Daddy cut the cord, and after that, we had to deliver the placenta, which was more dramatic than the birth. The nurses actually took him because my placenta wasn't coming out as quickly as they wanted. And because of that, they don't want you to bleed. It can make you bleed more. So they gave me a tincture, and within minutes, I was able to deliver the placenta pretty quickly. It just took a while, and it was so funny. They oohed and awed over this placenta. Oh, it's so big. We've never seen a placenta so big. Oh, it's so healthy. And they were just all like gathered around this placenta and thinking it was amazing. And it's funny because that experience, I was actually not gonna have my placenta encapsulated. I know some of you are like, ew, but I did because it was so healthy, and my whole pregnancy was so healthy, and it was just, I felt like I wanted to go ahead and do that. And it helps with postpartum depression, it helps with healing, it helps with all kinds of different things after labor and delivery. And so I went ahead and did that, and it has helped tremendously. And that's another story for another day. But so after the placenta was delivered, of course, they make sure, you know, you can go to the bathroom and all that. And then within minutes, he was back on me and latched on to nurse, which was an experience I didn't get to have with Junior, which I feel like contributed to him being a really good nurser. And so they left us alone for about an hour, and we just kind of relished in the fact that we just had a baby in 4.5 hours, and that was what it was from start to finish. When contractions started to contractions ended, it was only about 4.5 hours. He was born at 9:18 on Monday, June 24th, and he weighed 8 pounds 8 ounces, and he was 19 inches long. And so he was a healthy baby, and he had a good cry, and he pinked up really, really quickly, and he was just beautiful. He was such a beautiful baby. He still is. He's super cute. So after that, they make you stay for at least 3 hours and to check on him and make sure he's good, make sure you're good, make sure you're not hemorrhaging. And I felt really great. I mean, I felt amazing. My adrenaline was starting to go downhill though, so I started feeling really tired. And so they let us leave around 1 o'clock, I would guess, 1:30. And we were starving, so we stopped by McDonald's drive-thru and got a sausage biscuit for both of us on the way home. And it was pouring down rain. The storm had finally come through, and so it was pouring down rain. And we drove really slow home and got home around 2:30 that morning. And it all seemed really surreal. It was kind of like we dreamed it because you know, at the hospital you stay for days, and then at the birth center you're only there for a few hours, and then they send you home, and it's kind of like, this is weird. It kind of just feels like a dream. It doesn't even feel real, you know? It was like we woke up the next morning and there was a baby beside us. So it was a pretty incredible experience, and I highly recommend a birth center. If you're kind of scared about a home birth, I am. I'm a little scared by home birth. And I feel like you should do what you're not scared of, because being scared and can make you labor a lot harder and a lot slower. And so, but maybe one day, we'll see if that ever happens again. And it's a lot less messy at the birth center. You don't have to clean it up. You don't get anything all over your walls or your bed, but that was just my preference. But they do home birth as well. But if you're on the edge of, you don't want a hospital birth, but you don't want a home birth, then birth center birth is a really great experience. At least it was for me. Just make sure you find a really great midwife and birthing center that will really support you, come alongside you, and make you feel comfortable during your whole pregnancy and labor and delivery. After we got home, he's a great baby. He's such a good baby. He sleeps really well. Of course, we're going through growth spurts and we're going through different leaps, that we call them, developmental stages. And so this is a leap week, and we are kind of a crank box a little bit this week. He's alert. He can see us now. He can follow us now, and all of these things are new. And so it makes him a little cranky. It throws his sleep schedule off. So that's where we are this week. But he's been sleeping well. He's been very healthy. He had jaundice when we brought him home, but he was over that within the first week. And he's just been a really great baby overall. We've gotten some 5-hour stretches at night to sleep, which has been really good. We were getting sleep by the second week, which was really nice. So it's been such a blessing that he's been such a great baby. Junior was a really great baby too. So we've been blessed 2 times now with really great babies, really great sleepers. Now me, on the other hand, the end of the first week, if you've ever nursed a baby, the first couple weeks are kind of excruciating when it comes to finding your rhythm and sore breasts and all of that jazz. And I had a crack on my breast, and so I ended up developing mastitis. The first week, I was able to get rid of it on my own because I've dealt with it before, but then the second week it came back with vengeance because it was bacterial because of the crack. And at that point you need antibiotics, and trust me y'all, I was crying for the antibiotics. I was in so much pain. At 104-degree fever, I could not function. And that's not even something you want to hear when you have a 2-week-old that you can't function. And so we got the antibiotics and it helped, but unfortunately my milk supply tanked. And it's been really frustrating trying to get it to come back, and it really hasn't come back yet. It's trying to come back, but when it's trying to come back, he has gotten used to the bottle and he just wants the bottle. And so we are kind of at this stage where he will nurse a lot, and we'll nurse first and then we'll give the bottle, but it's been like I've been babying, nursing rather than a baby for the past 4 weeks. But so we are supplementing still, trying to get him back to nursing fully. He will nurse at night because he's half asleep and he'll get a full feeding, which is encouraging, but he will not nurse a full feeding during the day. He'll only nurse halfway and then he wants the bottle. So, and I'm not pumping enough milk to give him breast milk every supplement, so we are supplementing with formula, which is completely and totally fine because a fed baby is better than a non-fed baby. Fed is best. We say breast is best, but fed is best, to be honest with you. Not all women can nurse, and not all women can nurse completely. So hopefully my milk supply will come back and he'll keep nursing, and we can get to the point where we're exclusively breastfeeding again. Otherwise, we'll supplement and we'll breastfeed, and that is just as good as being able to exclusively breastfeed. But I am better now. I healed very, very quickly from all of the postpartum stuff, minus the mastitis. That was a totally different thing. And I contribute that completely to the placenta and capsules on my quick healing, and dealing with the baby blues, and that's completely over with now. And I'm just feeling overall healthy. I've lost all but like 3 pounds of my pregnancy weight, so that was encouraging. I know a lot of people are gonna ask, oh, did low carb diet? And I was really lazy with low carb on pregnancy, you guys. It was hard because I had so many food aversions. I was sick as a dog the first 15 weeks, and it was just very difficult to stay low carb. But obviously I did something right, because within the first 2 weeks, I had lost 30 pounds. So, and I gained I had lost 28 pounds. I'd gained about 30 pounds. So I've actually gained a pound back because I've been trying to eat more calories to get my supply up, and it's very, very hard to eat more calories and not eat more carbs. And carbs are like from the devil, and they make me bloated and all, but overall, we are doing really, really great. His birth was very quick, very easy, which is exactly what I prayed for from the beginning, because I knew I just kind of knew that I couldn't handle a very long, drawn out birth this time. I don't know why I knew that, but so I prayed from the beginning that it would be quick, it would be easy, and it would happen swiftly, and that's exactly what happened. And so we are doing really good, and we are thankful for everyone who's been checking in on us and sending us messages and commenting and just loving on us, and it's been such a really great experience. You guys are so sweet. So all right, you ready to meet Everett? I have actually a different clip from a different day, just 2 days ago, where I'm gonna show you Everett and you get to meet him. And so that'll be the next clip you see. And we are just so grateful. So thanks, guys. Ready? Here he is. And so, meet Everett. Here he is in all his glory with his little bobblehead that he's not happy about. This is Everett, and he's amazing and awesome. And he's not happy because he's ready for a nap. He's ready for a nap. But he's been such a blessing to our family, and we really hope that, nice, you enjoyed this birth story. I am going to try and do a natural birth video, not of a birth, but I've had a lot of women, especially pregnant women or women getting ready to get pregnant, ask, how did you have a natural birth? They want to hear about it, what helped you get through it, and all of those things. And so I'm hoping to do a video on that too. Of course, guys, you won't want to watch that. But it is all part of natural living, and it's part of homesteading, believe it or not. A lot of homesteading women want to do it naturally because they live their lives naturally otherwise, so why not through labor and delivery as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Share if you want to, and have a great day. Happy homesteading. Say bye.